There we go. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I feel like, I'm recording my TikTok live. This is my daily thing. Every day I get on here and I record on TikTok. But, however, I'm also recording on YouTube. And one thing that I want to do when it comes to my YouTube is use my mic. And I hope it's not too late to use my mic. So let's see. Let's see here. I don't know. I think it will be webcam. Oh well. Either way, I'm on here and I'm on YouTube. If you want to follow me on YouTube, go to my YouTube. My content will get better. I promise you that because when I'm on YouTube, I do like a lot of long form content. And so it takes me forever to get to a point where I'm posting because I'm editing and I'm working hard to make sure that my videos are everything that I want them to be. But follow me there because my content is about to blow up. I'm sure of it because I'm desperate. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Joking. All right. So anybody that's joining me today, hopefully you have been joining me for the past few days because I've been keeping the same energy when I'm talking about what I'm talking about, which is masculinity being a tool. And being that I talk about masculinity being a tool, a lot of times it confuses people and they think that what I'm saying is that men themselves are tools. This can be true if you are a person who identifies as purely masculine, then yes, you are identifying as an object, as a tool, as a mechanism, as a machine. And this confuses a lot of people because they're like, well, that just seems too black and white. Yes, it is. Exactly. It is too black and white. And the world is not that simple. However, because it's complicated. The world um is not black and white. You cannot identify as purely a machine. And this is not me saying that men need to start identifying as women or men need to, change who they are completely or anything like that. But this is to say that we need to start exploring what we mean when we talk about ourselves and our roles in this world. So some people will identify themselves as masculine and they will act like tools because they recognize that masculine energy is tool energy, and but they don't want to be treated like that. You know what I mean? So an example of that would be a man who identifies himself as a provider. I'm a provider. I have money. I do, I have this, I have that. So now if you want to identify as an ATM, you're going to be treated like an ATM, and you can't be mad about being treated like an ATM if that is how you are presenting yourself. You can call yourself a provider, you can call yourself an ATM. Those two things can be the same. So when I talk about masculinity being a tool, I ask that you stop and really, really think about the ways that we identify masculine qualities and masculine traits, because there's nothing wrong with those qualities and those traits. However, it's important to recognize that those traits are just small aspects of who we are. They do not identify us in our entirety. So there are a lot of people in the world who are identifying themselves not by their entirety, but by specific qualities that make them objects. Some people are identifying as nothing more than like I said, ATM. Some people are like, I'm a bodyguard. I protect. That's what I do. I'm a protector and provider. At all times, I'm protecting and providing. And this is not only fair to the person who is identifying themselves as that object, but this is also not fair to whoever the person who is identifying themselves as that object is to other people, because that other person might be like, okay, well, you're identifying yourself as a protector and provider. um right now you're not protecting and providing. I'm doing a bunch of work, but you're not recognizing that work whatsoever. Good morning. um so how can this be balanced? How can this be fair? If you're saying that you're protecting and providing me right now, we sitting and watching TV. Like, can't we just be not that for this moment? You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's this idea that at all times a person is being in their tool energy. At all times this person is a tool. At all times this person is providing value, and that's not always true. That's not always true. So I one of the things that I talk about quite a bit when it comes to masculinity being a tool is how much it has harmed everybody, not just men, not just women. It harms children. It harms the elderly. It has kind of it's snowballed into every single aspect of life. Every part of our society is affected by this energy having been glorified and worshiped and misunderstood to the degree that it's been misunderstood. And so, specifically in using this framework, one of the things that I want to talk about is what's his name? I want to talk about Shannon Sharp. Let's talk about on this fine morning. Let's talk about Shannon Sharp, Uncle Shannon, as some would call this man. So the thing with Shannon, I don't like how this is tied. So if y'all see me take this down and retie it and tie it some more, just understand that I'm trying to get it to what I like. And maybe it's the angle on here. I don't know. And forgive me for neglecting y'all up here. I'm like looking at two different cameras. Maybe one day one camera will live stream me from both locations. But for now, I got my phone set up, and then I have my camera set up on my computer. Either way, so let's talk about Shannon Sharp. One of the things that I mentioned when I talk about masculinity and masculinity being a tool, I talked about this, I think, yesterday. I talked about the 6 tenets of masculinity. And I will be selling a zine soon that kind of breaks down those 6 tenets for anybody who's interested in anything that I'm talking about. The 6 tenets of masculinity. Ooh, see, now I'm going to have to pull it up if I'm going to bring it up. If I'm going to bring it up, I'm going to have to pull it up. So here we go. Hold on. Let me pull it up. Give me one moment. Okay. So the 6 tenets of masculinity is one. The first one is binary thinking. Binary thinking means you split everything in half. One thing on this side, this thing on this side. A zine is a small magazine. It's like 6 pages or whatever, 7 pages. Um, and it has like cool illustrations and stuff. And so I made a zine. That's what I'm reading off of right now. It's my zine. So 6 tenets of masculinity. Binary thinking is the first one, which kind of makes people divide everything in half. Nothing can be just one thing, or nothing can be complicated. It's either yes or no. It's black or white. Do you want the hot dog or do you not want the hot dog? Um, I know. I put that, you know what? I had masculinity as a tool on there um a while ago. And then I forgot that I put it up there because it's on white. So it is what it is. Either way, binary thinking, transactional situations. So if there's a transaction, that tends to be masculine, because masculine is about taking an object, two objects, and trading them, something like that. So binary transaction. Representation and symbols, where things are not what they are a symbol of something, or they are a representation of something. So that tends to be masculine, because Um, Masculine energy is the representation of feminine energy. Exactly, barter and trade. So, representation is another tenet of masculine energy. Progress is another tenet of masculine energy, and progress is subjective. So, if something is masculine, it's always spreading or it's always eliminating. It's always doing some kind of math. It's always trying to work towards a specific goal. Feminine energy tends to be more stagnant, more about space, stasis, more about calm, rest, peace, being in one spot. But masculine energy is always on the move. It's always headed towards something and always has a goal or objective. And even if it doesn't have a goal or objective, it is moving towards something, whatever it is. Another tenet of masculinity is measuring and competing. You're measuring, you're competing, and I'm going like this because I'm like looking at the picture, and the picture shows somebody running. And so, when first you measure, then you compete. So, when you think about like football, for example, football is you talk about the gains that somebody's made in terms of yards. Oh, they went to this yard line or whatever. So you're measuring, and then once you have your numbers, then those numbers start talking to each other. Similar to how on Sinners, um, I think it was Smoke's character who says, once you introduce a number, those numbers start talking to each other. They have a conversation. So, measuring and competing. Lines. There are no natural lines in nature. When you see a line, you know that we're in the land of masculinity. We're in the land of artificialness. We're in the lands of lines and hierarchies and order. And so lines are part of masculine energy. When you see lines, just understand that this was man-made. This was artificial. This is masculine. And the first one that I'm going to talk about when it comes to Shannon Sharp and his situation is the whole um I think you had said it in the chat, North Oakland Ghostwriter. Deference. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I thought you had said difference, but you said deference. But when there is any kind of gap whatsoever where one person seems to be winning and another person is a little bit far behind, we have entered into masculine energy land, because masculine energy likes to win. It is about winning. It is about being in situations where it's going to win. It is about being in situations where when you measure the two things against each other, there's a huge difference between them, and one person's far ahead, another person's far behind. And everything's connected. Everything that I said is connected. I mentioned representation of symbols. Mentioned transactionalness. So all of these things are connected to masculine energy in that they're mechanical. They're like machines, transactions, binary code, like all of these things. Oh my God, I hate it when y'all try to co-host. Can y'all not do that, please? But I do love it when you hit the hearts. So if you're watching, please hit the like button. But yeah, don't ask the co-host, because what in the world? No. All right. So anyway, when you think about Shannon Sharp's situation, you think about an older man. I think they said he was 54 when he was trying to talk or when he approached the young woman. She's 19 years old. This is a 19-year-old, a teen. He is 54. That means that this man was in his 30s, 35 when she was born. This man had kids already when this young woman was born. So when we talk about age gap relationships, we're talking about a winner and a loser relationship. And whether the young person sees themselves as a winner or loser does not matter. Because if the person is older, and I'm not talking about in senile or has dementia or anything like that. They don't have anything that's going to level the playing field a little bit. When someone is older and someone is younger, you're dealing with a winner loser scenario. So you got to look at that situation and you have to ask yourself, okay, who wants to win here? Now, my money goes on Shannon. He wanted to win. That is an athlete. That is a man. And this is a person who the majority of his life has been geared towards winning, towards measuring and competing. And he's good. He's not bad at it. He's not bad at winning. He's good at winning. He has a track record of winning. So one might say, "Oh, well, he's not very smart. He was just, he got caught up." That's an intelligent man. Don't let the tee he fool you. That's an intelligent man. Shannon Sharp is a smart man. Um, Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Once you enter the room, hit that like button. You know what I'm saying? Hit the button. All right. Anyway, what's I gonna say? Yeah, Shannon Sharp is a smart man. And he's a masculine person. He's a masculine man. Masculine is not bad. It just means that you are in your machine energy. You are a machine. And this is a machine that does transactions like that, like an ATM, or not. Well, yeah, like an ATM. I meant to say like a cash register. So machines know what they're doing, or they know what they're programmed to do. They do what they're programmed to do. And so Shannon Sharp is a machine and he is good at winning. He's good at seeing the zeros and the ones and knowing which side to play, which thing to do, or whatever. So I'm not trying to say that the young woman that he was involved in any kind of relationship with had no awareness whatsoever. However, that young woman is a rookie in comparison to Shannon Sharp. That's a person who has got their basketball and they're gonna go out on the football field. Wrong. You okay, sweetie? You're gonna try. That's cute, but wrong ball. Like wrong uniform. You okay? We're rooting for you, but there's a possibility that you are not going to win. The thing that the young woman had on her side is that she's white. She has an entire system that can back her up. So okay, so now we got a game. now we have a game. We have Shannon Sharp, older black man, very intelligent, very good on the field, knows what he's doing, fully in his masculine energy, because he's seeing an opportunity where he will have an advantage, and he's seeing that this girl clearly has a disadvantage. Her even trying to go up against him in any way, immediately he's becoming abusive because he feels like he can get away with it. He's talking to her crazy, talking to her about choking her, talking to her about I'll do this, I'll do that. Did he do that? We don't know, but I mean the way that he's so freely talking about it lets us know that yeah, he probably did put his hands on her. And that's a big dude. That's a big man wearing them tight ass clothes. So we have somebody who entered a situation knowing that they had an advantage, knowing that they have an advantage. I wonder if I can fix. I'm sorry, now I'm getting distracted because I do want to fix that. And every time I get on live, I forget to fix that. This is masculinity as a tool, but like I don't even want that to be up behind me right now. To be honest, because I'm specifically talking about Shannon Sharp. But either way, Shannon Sharp is a man who is fully in his masculine energy. And what I mean by masculine energy is that is a person that is in their machine energy. Machine energy. All the muscles, them tight suits be showing off the muscles that man has. He is a machine. He is fine-tuned like a machine. He treats his body like a machine. Years of this man being in binary situations. And what did I say about binary situations? That's binary code. Years of this man being in binary code. My team against yours, us versus them, in group, out group. Ask any psychologist, they know about in group, out group thinking. So this is a man, years and years. He's a soldier in a sense, programmed to look at situations and see how he can win. Not stupid, knows what he's doing, seeks out someone much younger than himself. Why? Because he's going to have a clear advantage. This is a person who looks to win, who seeks to win. Then he knows he's going to have a clear advantage. Finds this young woman at the gym. He seeks her out at the gym. I doubt that I doubt that he would even want it any other way, to be honest. Isn't dirty talk a form of role play or form of a kink? He's mentally her equal, in my opinion. Um, I mean, okay. Either way, I don't want to lose track of what I'm talking about. So this is a man that seeks out a young woman. All right. The way that she said that she met him was that he approached her at the gym. So while he's the machine that is fine tuning his body, getting the sprockets in order or whatever, he seeks out prey. He finds it. 19 years old. I know that when I was 19, I knew everything. I knew everything. You ask me a question, I'm going to give you the answer. I'm going to give you wisdom at 19 because I knew everything when I was 19. Now I don't know everything anymore. I somehow I lost it. The older I got, the more aware I was of how much I really knew. But when I was 19, I knew everything. So he met a 19-year-old who probably knew everything and who thought that the two of them can compete in whatever it is that they were going to do. Or perhaps she didn't see it as what it was going to turn out to be, which is a competition. Perhaps she didn't see it that way. But one thing that you need to understand if you're ever dealing with somebody who is very in their masculine energy is that everything's a competition. And if they're involved with sports, even more so. Even more so. Because it's not likely that whatever sport they're involved with is going to be a whole bunch of teams against each other all at once. Likely it's going to be one team against another. Binary thinking. What did I say about binary thinking? Binary thinking is binary code. So if somebody is in their binary code um mode, I guess, they're all it's going to be in group out group thinking. So the majority of his career he was forced into a mindset. I mean, I'm saying forced, but you know what I'm saying, this is option, but whatever the case is, when you're playing sports you got to know who's on your team and who's not on your team. And a lot of people take that with them out into the actual world and how they deal with everything. So if they're going to be in a relationship, it's going to be this. Because what in the hell is a man that size doing, putting his hands on a woman? He was doing this. And he knew he would win physically. Physically. We can talk about, oh, they're, mentally they're at the same. Physically, no. Look at him and look at her. Now, when I lived in Japan, I remember I was a friend of mine was telling me that they have certain laws when it comes to their vehicles in Japan. Um, and the one of the laws is that whoever has the bigger vehicle is wrong in whatever car accident there is. Now, you can say that this is fair. You can say that this is messed up. You can say whatever you want to say. But if there's a car accident in Japan and one vehicle is bigger than the other vehicle, they automatically defer to whoever has the bigger vehicle as being in the wrong, because they're likely going to do the most damage. They're likely going to be the one that you know what I'm saying, like that needed to be more careful. Whatever the case was, they have their logic, and you know that's what it is. And when you think about that, how that logic works, how it, um, help, like how it affects the people who are driving the vehicles in Japan, you have to understand that, knowing that if you have a larger vehicle, you are likely going to be blamed for whatever accident happens. You're not as likely to, one, buy a larger vehicle, or two, if you do have a large vehicle, you are going to be extremely careful. You're going to be way more careful than if you have a smaller vehicle. When I went to Japan, the majority of the vehicles there were small. Everybody was driving those little cars that look like the cartoon, I forget what it's called, Toontown or something like that, where all these little vehicles. That's what it looked like in Japan. Everybody's car was small. Not nearly, excuse me, what it is in the United States. Because and that was one of the ways that's how I learned about that, because I had asked the person, like, why are all the cars small out here? But that's because they automatically oh my god, stop asking me to co-host, people. I'm not co-hosting with y'all. But anyway, see, and that's another thing, it always interrupts my train of thought. But yeah, so I think I had asked the person, like, why are the cars here so small? And the person was explaining to me that's one of the reasons why. Is because when you have a bigger vehicle, if anything happens, people are going to, um, you're going to be the one at fault. There's that. And then, of course, bigger vehicles are more expensive. And then also the roads are smaller. So there's all these other things. But one of the aspects of why the cars are small out there is because if you're bigger, you're going to get the blame. And why did I bring that up? I'm bringing that up because I I feel like when somebody is big and muscular and strong, if you are physically fighting someone that is smaller than you, I think that logic applies there as well. So we can talk about who is, the mental equality of the two, of the 19-year-old and 54-year-old, which we know is bullshit. We know that is bull. But when it comes down to the physicality of the two, it's undeniable that Shannon Sharpe is bigger than that little white girl. It's undeniable. That's not something that where you put the two and measure. Well, let's see them standing next to each other. We know who's bigger, who's smaller. Shannon knows who's bigger, who's smaller. He met the girl at the gym. If he was confused about it, there's scales all up and through there, you know. So, but I'm sure he wasn't confused about it. And so I bring this up to bring up the point that Shannon is smart. Shannon was smart, but you don't have to be smart to understand the power dynamics, the difference in the power dynamics between those two. And the reason why that power dynamic is so important is because with a person like Shannon Sharpe, a person who has had years of fine tuning, of becoming a machine, of being fully in their masculinity, a man amongst men. This is a person who sees everything like this, everything in binary code. That's a machine. Some people, they go into machine mode anytime a binary is involved. And guess what kind of relationship is binary relationship? A romantic relationship. A romantic relationship is a relationship where there are two people, well, a monogamous romantic relationship. I'm sorry, I'm trying to like figure out what specific terms, because I know people have a lot of like scientific terms, but y'all know what I'm saying. If there's a relationship, a heterosexual relationship with a man and a woman, um, it doesn't even have to be heterosexual, be a homosexual relationship, whatever the case is. But if it's a relationship with two people and they decide to be monogamous with each other, and this is not to say that Shannon agreed to be monogamous with this woman, but like it's Shannon Sharpe versus whoever he is in a relationship with. This is my takeaway. When somebody is fully in their masculine energy and they have gotten to the point where they are like machine mind completely, you get in a relationship with a person like that, you will be their opponent. Y'all are not going to be on the same team. And if you are on the same team, it's going to be y'all against the world. It's going to be Bonnie and Clyde. It's going to be we love each other and we're fighting everybody. Is put your dukes up. So this is why in a lot of cases when you see athletes and how they are in their relationships, being that they're socialized, because men are socialized to be in that binary thinking mode, to be in that machine mode. That's what masculine energy is machine energy. We all have it. This is not a man thing. This is everybody thing. This is a human thing. We all have our machine mode. I know I go into machine mode when I got to get something done. When I'm at the gym, I'm in machine mode for real. You know what I mean? Machine mode when you are doing something that requires no thought, just action, just getting it done. I remember I used to work overnight and I'd be half sleep driving, but I could drive that road with my eyes closed because muscle memory, that's you in machine mode. We are all machines and humans. We are cyborgs. But when you're dealing with somebody whose profession is being a professional cyborg, or I'm sorry, being a professional robot, not just a cyborg, a machine. Anytime you look at athletes, you're looking at machines. People who muscle memory, constantly being in a mode where they have to make split second decisions, quick, 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 quick. This is machine thinking, opponent or teammate, you know, constantly in group, out group. So this is zeros and ones, binary thinking. Everything's a transaction, everything's quick, everything's, you know what I'm saying? So there are people who are in that mode. I'm sorry, I forgot to share my live with my agent. Let me do that real quick. All right, so I just shared it with my friend. Okay. So, yeah, so when people are in that mode constantly, they're machine mode all the time. It is hard for them to get out of it. So when they get into a relationship, that relationship is more them being on a team. That's them against someone else. And I'm saying this, I have dated athletes. That is the mindset, you know. When they're in they're fully in their masculine energy, that masculine energy will have them looking at everything in black and white. Everything's black and white. There's no gray area. So um Shannon Sharp sees this young woman, a teenager, and I can't emphasize that enough because I know people, she's legal. I didn't say she wasn't. I'm just saying she's a teenager. I'm calling it what it is. Because I remember when I was 19, I was a teenager. 19, teenager. Yeah, yes. You're asking, somebody asked in the chat if lady athletes are masculine. Masculine is not a gender, it's an energy. I'm masculine. We're all masculine. Switch out the word masculine for machine. Anytime you are in your machine energy, you are in your masculine energy. We are all masculine. Lady athletes are masculine. I'm masculine. Every woman alive, every single woman alive is in their masculine energy at some point or other. We all contain it. We all contain it. So women athletes be in their, you know what I'm saying? Their masculine mode for sure. I've dealt with some dealt with, what am I saying? I have friends who are who were athletes, and I can always tell them because they be on a mission, be on some teamwork stuff. I'm not an athlete person. I don't like sports like that. I like playing them, but I don't like the feeling of pressure that comes with it, and it's just too intense for me because if I mess up, I'm gonna kill myself. Like I'm gonna if I mess up, I'm gonna, right. Masculinity and femininity are social constructs, but those social constructs are real. Just like how money is a social construct. But if I were to tell you to give me all of your money, you wouldn't do it because you need it, don't you? So masculine energy is a social construct. It is created. Feminine energy is also a social construct. However, it's when you talk about it within the framework of how I'm talking about it, feminine energy is just existing, just existing. So if you exist, feminine energy, that's the energy you're giving off, even if you even want to call it energy. If you exist, you are feminine. You are a feminine being in that you exist. Babies are feminine beings. Babies goo goo gaga. There's no, ooh, pink, I'm gonna wear whatever today. That's masculine. Masculine is the bells and whistles. Feminine is just existing. Yes, it's a social construct, but if it's all that simple, give me all your money, give me your car, give me your clothes. Give me everything that is of value to you in this world. Because yeah, we made it up, but yeah, it's something now. We created it, now it's here. So humans are kind of magical in that sense that whatever we think of, whatever we conjure, it now it's here. Now it exists. So yes, it's a social construct. For all you know, I could be making everything up. Oh, oh no, I said something. Oh no, now I'm restricted. I don't know. Whatever the case is, whatever humans come up with, we can break it into existence. It can become real and it can start to kind of control our lives and that kind of thing. So if I can tell everybody, oh, masculine energy is this, and enough people believe it, then that is what it is. But and so we live in a world now where we have taken a very real energy, but we have misunderstood it and we've co-opted it and we have turned it into something completely different than what it is. So masculine energy is machine energy. It's the mechanical energy. It's the yang to the yin. This is a real concept, yin and yang. I forget, there's another concept, the loved and the beloved or something like that. But whatever the case is, like there's all these philosophies about it. I tend to call it machine and human. The masculine energy is machine energy, feminine energy is human energy. It's the soft emotional energy. And when people hear soft, they think oh, soft, like weak. No, 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 no. I mean soft like can drown you. Soft like can be a gas that can poison you. Soft and can be solid. It could be everything. Masculine is one thing. It's machine. It's doing something, it's transacting something, it's symbolizing something, it's representing something. So, that said, let's get back to Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp saw a teenager at the gym, and him being the machine that he is, saw an opportunity to win. Let me approach this teen. I have lots of money. That's another power dynamic. So not only is he much older than her, he's bigger physically than her. He has way more money than this 19-year-old. The odds are in his favor to win. If there is a contest, he's winning. If it was an arm wrestling contest with this teenage girl, he would win. If it was a who has more money contest with this teenage girl, he would win. If it is a who is wiser, who knows more than a teenage girl, he would win. Does her family have money and does she have money are two different things. Does her family have money? Does she have money are two different things. The wealth that the white girl has, however, because she does have a certain level of wealth, is her alignment with white institutions. She has an entire institution behind her, a white supremacist institution, and that institution is the United States of America. So all she has to do is cry and say, "This big black man hurt me," and she will have the entire country behind her. And so she, that's nothing to sneeze at. However, yeah, does she have money? Does her family have money? You know, I don't know. If her family has money, she is used to certain things. Shannon's money won't be the motivator. It's not about her being motivated by money. It's not about what her motivations are. I'm talking about winning here. All right. So we have a clear winner, a person who's a pro. Okay, let me try and break this down for you because you're specifically not understanding what I'm saying. Let's say that me, being 41 years old, I approach, let's see, what's the age difference between Shannon and the girl? She's 19, so he was 35 when she was 19. Let's say that I approach a 6-year-old. And I see that the 6-year-old is holding a lollipop, and I would like the lollipop. So I will approach the 6-year-old and I say, "Give me your lollipop." This would not, you would not be saying, well, the 6-year-old's motivation here is, you would understand that I am an older person, a bigger person, a person with an objective to win, and I'm looking at the easiest win that I can get, because let's say there's another 41 year, there's a 20 something year old, let's say that there's all kinds of people, they all hold lollipops. I see the 6-year-old and I say to myself, I'm that's who I'm going to get the lollipop from. If I go over to that particular 6-year-old and I grab the lollipop from them, this is me showing you what I'm about. I'm about winning. I'm about winning. Shannon Sharp, athlete, he is about winning. This is a man whose objective is to win. And he's not bad at it. He's made a career out of doing that. He's made a career out of it. So when I talk about someone being in their masculine energy, many times they are about winning. They want to win. They want to measure two things up against each other and say, who's going to win? And so, yeah, I mean, if somebody's smart, yeah, that would make them a target. I'm not saying Shannon is not at fault, but don't downplay the mental capacity of a 19-year-old. I'm going to downplay the mental capacity of a 19-year-old. I'm going to let you know right now. I'm going to downplay it so much because at 19, you are a teenager. And even if you are, this was a mastermind decision that a 19-year-old made, and they, even if this was a sting operation, if you catch me at at the daycare center taking lollipops, or I'm sorry, getting into scuffles with 4-year-olds, me, Lizzie B, the person who's doing this, if you catch me at the daycare center do um scuffling with 4-year-olds, I don't care if it was a sting operation. I've failed. I've failed. Okay? So yeah, if I hope no, I'm not gonna put my hopes into this at all. But what I will say is that if if it's a sting operation, it wasn't entrapment. It was not entrapment. You get what I'm saying? Do y'all know what entrapment is? Um, oh, okay, yeah, yeah. All right, so we'll talk about okay, somebody asked, please discuss her race not having to deal with adultification. Okay, so this young white woman, this 19-year-old, has the benefit of an entire institution behind her. So that's the only thing that kind of I'm not going to say it even really evens the playing field, because when it comes to a sting operation, and I talk a lot about this in my book, The Dud Test. So if you haven't bought The Dud Test, or if you haven't looked into it, consider looking at my book, The Dud Test. I talk about what is essentially a sting operation and what that is, and the rules around it. But I talk about it from an emotional standpoint or whatever, from a more social standpoint, as opposed to like an official sting operation with FBI and all that. But this young woman, the advantage that she has is that she's white. So she has an entire institution that is going to do everything that they can. You can find a book on Amazon. Just go, just Google The Dud Test. The the dud test. Dud, D-U-D. What was I saying? Shoot, I'm losing my train of thought. I'm so sorry, you guys. It does not take much for me. What am I talking about? um, oh, okay. So this young woman has an entire system behind her, and that system is going to increase the difference between Shannon Sharp and her. I don't even remember her name, but I just know little white girl, big black man. And he says this in the recording that they have of her speaking to him. This was absolutely perfect. I think I may have said this in the video. I wish that I had, yeah, Gabby. What do you say? What you want now, Gabby? What this I did a video where I talked about it a little bit. I touched on it a little bit, but I didn't go into it nearly in the detail that I'm going into this now. But when Shannon Sharp is on the phone with Gabby, he mentions choking her in public, and then he mentions big black man, little white girl. So, in talking about this, it's clear that he's aware of the extreme difference. And this is not just in power dynamics, this is just in visuals. Just the difference in the visual. Someone who is small and someone who is big. If you see someone big taking advantage of someone, or not to say taking advantage, but doing something physically against someone small, your immediate thought is not going to be, well, maybe those two have the same kinds of thought process. Maybe those two think the same. You're going to say, oh my God, get off of this person. Stop. What are you doing? You can hurt them. This could be, don't do that. You might kill them, you know? And he's aware of that. And he still did it. Risky behavior. That's risky behavior. That's such risky behavior. I would love to be a lawyer and represent that young woman. I would love it. Are you kidding? You know how much money I'd make off of somebody like him? I'd love it. Every single power dynamic. This man had an advantage. Every single one. And one can say, well, even though she's a teenager, even though she's a teenager, she knew what she was doing. Okay. Clearly, she failed. Clearly, she failed. If he gets away with it, this teen failed. Again, if you see me at the daycare center hurting children, then whether it's a sting operation or not, I've been caught. That wasn't entrapment. It wasn't entrapment. It is what it looked like. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. They're like, oh, that's not what it looked like. No, it is what it looked like. He was doing exactly what it looked like. What about the new charge with Michelle? He has a pattern. I don't know anything about Michelle. I don't know anything about Michelle. Wasn't Michelle the one he was getting it popping with on with his phone accidentally turned on to hear him, you know what I'm saying? Doing his thing with Michelle. And isn't that who that is? Oh man. Really? See? Listen. Listen. When somebody is, and this is not me saying that masculine energy is bad. This is me saying that when you are strictly identifying with the machine aspect of yourself, you can't help but to repeat the same patterns. And if you give me an athlete and let me study their behavior for a little bit, I can explain exactly what I'm saying. They're going for the bag, but he is sadistic. I mean, yeah. Why wouldn't you go for the bag? I'd go for the bag. Who wouldn't go for the bag? You deserve to go for the bag. You know what I'm saying? A person deserves to go for the bag. If you're going to be if this is going to happen to you, you deserve to go for the bag. You should. We should be teaching young girls, if you're going to allow this to happen, then get the bag. If you want to be If you're gonna do it, then might as well, get something out of it. Take a chunk with you. And I hate to say that. I hate to say that because people shouldn't be going into situations to abuse each other. But if you're going to be on the road, like I said, if I bring it back to the whole Japanese car thing, if you're going to be on the road with the big dogs, you better use their size and their everything to your advantage. You could die. That is a dangerous game that those girls are playing. That is a dangerous game if that is what it is. So again, if I go to the daycare, and I'm gonna keep bringing this up because I don't care that she's got an entire institution behind her that infantilizes her, and that Black women have an institution that is not behind us that adultifies us. I am very aware of that. And so yeah, I know if she was Black, that the odds would not be so much in her favor, because the power differential wouldn't be so as much. The thing that girl had going for her was that she was white. However, again, if when you look at the visuals of it, it's such an extreme that he looks like he went to the daycare and took a lollipop out of a baby's hand. That's what it looks like. And he can say, no, 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 you don't understand. The baby gave a little bit of the baby didn't loosen its grip nearly as much as, you know what I'm saying? I don't care. I don't care if this was a big mastermind situation. It's not entrapment. That was a sting operation. If it was a sting operation, it was not entrapment. I'll put it like that. Because we don't know if it's a sting operation. We don't know if perhaps maybe that lawyer just saw an opportunity and seized upon it. Because I'm looking at that and I'm just like, yeah, and they've been waiting. White people have been waiting for another OJ. But the fact that there's more OJs always lets you know that there is a mindset that comes with these men. And so when I talk about what I talk about, I'm talking about masculine energy and how it plays into that, especially if one is an athlete. All right. Also, 41, ma'am. I thought you were no older than 35. The age gap between is older than her. Oh, thank you. Wow. I feel I don't like how the lives record me. For some, I always feel like I look a little. Ooh, that's why I be trying to do makeup on the lives, but then I get so caught up in whatever it is that I'm talking about that I forget to do the makeup. But I do want to put my contact lenses in, and you reminded me that I want to do that. So thank you. And I hope I don't gross you guys out by doing this. But either way, yeah. So when I talk about masculine energy, thank you so much. So when I talk about masculine energy, it sounds like I don't know what it sounds like, to be honest. I'm so uh I don't know. I don't know what it sounds like to you guys, but I know that when I talk about it, I'm coming from a neutral place, because we all need to be in our masculine energy at some time or other. We all need to be in a place where we are in our machine energy. We all need to um sorry. I need to focus to do this. Well, it's not even so much that we need to be in our machine energy, but we all are forced kind of to have to kind of be in our mechanical energy. Aspects of masculine energy that are part of our everyday life is our bodies working, because your body is a machine. And like I said, masculine energy is a machine. Your body is a machine. You your heart beating every day, that's masculine energy. You speaking, transcoding symbols, because that's what speaking is you translating symbols. I'm speaking symbols to you, and you are receiving those symbols, and you are processing those symbols. And some of you are in my comment section and you're responding or whatever using physical symbols, digital symbols rather. So we are all machines. We're cyborgs. And there is nothing wrong with being in your cyborg, energy. That's all of us. We are all masculine, all of us. When you are doing anything that requires you to transcode symbols, translate symbols, when you are entering into transactions, when you are measuring things, when you are competing against other people, when you're competing against yourself, you are in your masculine energy. And the way that energy works is it's like a gas. It flows in and out of each other. Sometimes you're in this, sometimes you're in that, sometimes you're in both, sometimes you're in another weird energy. But when you are in your masculine energy, you are in your machine energy. And so the way that men have co-opted that energy into their entire personality, that's where we have a problem. That's where we have people who see everything as a transaction. That's when we have people who are constantly looking to win. And everything goes back to serving the feminine for sure, because the feminine is whatever is deep down inside of us, whatever we are. And so if you want to feel good, if you want to feel happy, if you want to, get like a certain emotion, that's your feminine energy. That's, it's the executive to all of this. It uses the machine because the machine is a tool, but ultimately it is the user of that tool. And so this is not to say that Shannon Sharp does not have feminine energy and there is no feminine that is at the core of all of the actions that he's taking, because ultimately he is taking these actions to elicit a specific emotion from himself. He wants to feel a certain way. Maybe he wants to feel bigger. He wants to feel like a machine, but his wanting to feel whatever he wants to feel, that's his feminine. But that masculine, he puts it to work in whatever way. That masculine is a goddamn monster. He's putting it to work in a way where he will do whatever it takes. He presses on and that thing goes, and it's not going to stop until somebody presses off. Maybe it's him, maybe it's our law, our court system. And so there's a lot of athletes that operate that way because in a sense they've kind of been programmed not only by masculinity, or society's idea of masculinity, but by their inner desire to achieve what they see as masculinity. So they have this desire to be a man amongst men, and the only way to do that is to win, 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 win. I In my master's program, the way that I got selected for my master's program is a really, really, really competitive program. And the way that I got selected was the chair of the program who did the selecting, or I think the president of the program, whatever the case was. He told me that he chooses people who are clearly already going to win. He only bets on horses that he knows are already in the lead. If there's a gap already, that's who he's going for. And I found this to be a wonderful compliment, because I was like, oh wow, you're saying I'm a winner. But ultimately what he's saying is that he doesn't like to lose. He does not play to lose. And this is the mindset of most people. This is how the stock market works. You look at the stock market, people are like, okay, what stocks are already doing well? That's what I want to buy. What stock is on the rise? So the way that a lot of people who are in their masculine energy works is very mechanical, in the sense that I know that big big mama, the feminine energy, the whoever is at the core, I know that big mama don't want me coming back home having lost. Big mama does not want me coming back home, without having increased the money that she gave me when she sent out. That masculine energy is on a mission to win, to come back with more of whatever it was Big Mama sent them out to do. And so, what's his name? Shannon Sharp's Big Mama is winning. He wants to win. He wants to make, Shannon Sharp, the feminine Shannon Sharp, proud. He wants to elicit some kind of emotion, whether it's pride, whether it's happiness, whatever the case is. And the way that he gets that is by winning against opponents. That girl was not someone that he saw at the gym and said, I want this girl on my team. This is someone that he saw to conquer. This is someone that he saw to dunk on. He was going to win, and winning was going to involve her losing. So if she knew that, or if whatever the case was, if she had any kind of insight into what he was on, she played him. But she risked her life to do that, and that's not very smart. As a 41-year-old, I don't want to play that game. I don't want anybody putting their hands around my neck. I'm too sensitive for that. I'm too delicate for that. I can't emotionally handle that. I would be a wreck. I would not have what it takes to be in the courtroom trying to deal with that. I wouldn't even be able to be on the phone. I heard the recording. I wouldn't even be able to be on the phone the way she was on the phone talking about why are you talking to me like this? No, I could not do that because I don't have the stomach for it. When I was 19, maybe I had the stomach for it. But now at twice that age, I don't have the stomach for it. And another thing that I keep having to remember, she's 21 now. She's not even 19 anymore. She is 21 years old now. So ultimately, the main thing that I want to get at with all of this is that whether this girl is taking advantage of him or not, you can't take advantage of someone who is not giving you that advantage. And he gave her a big advantage, and that advantage that he gave her was a visual. He gave her a visual. He gave the world a visual. And what's crazy is that while on the phone, he gives us the visual so that he is hyper aware. It shows that he is not only is he hyper aware of the visual of him and this girl and him abusing this girl, he gets off on it. He enjoys it. So yeah, I wish I was a lawyer. I would oh my God. I wish I was a lawyer. I would love to make money off that man. There that's the only time that I'd have the stomach for that for sure. But when it comes to uh being in that girl's shoes, I would not want to do that. I wouldn't want to do that. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, easy money, she's the mastermind manipulator. No, because it takes a dumb person to physically put their body on the line for money. And unfortunately many of us are forced to do that every day with our jobs and with a lot of what we do. I mean, when you think about it, that's what Shannon Sharp did. He put his body on the line for money every day. That's what he did for years. Put his body on the line for money. That is why he turned his body into a machine so that he can survive that. That girl put her body on the line for money. She deserves every penny, every single one, every penny. I hope she gets it. I really, really do. I hope she gets it. She deserves every penny. You put your body on the line for money. Let's go. Let's go. We're okay with it when athletes do it, but if this girl entrapped him into harming her, or it's not even entrapped. I'm saying entrapped, but like if this was a sting operation, it was definitely not entrapment, because entrapment means that the person had no choice. That's what entrapment is when a person has no choice and they can counter sue and say, see, you made me, you put me in a situation where I couldn't avoid breaking the law. No, this person created created the optics, and then said something that was incriminating. And yeah, it goes on and on how many ways he screwed himself on the basis of his own arrogance and on the basis of believing himself to be more invincible than he was. And that is the issue with aligning oneself with a machine. You forget that humans are superior to machines. Humans are, you know, machines are not superior to humans. Humans are superior to machines. The reason why humans are superior to machines is because humans invent machines, you know? So even if you are a machine, and like I've said, feminine is the human aspect, the machine aspect is the masculine. So we're all cyborgs, but we start out very human, very plushy and squishy, and then you learn the code language, you learn how to speak whatever language you speak. That's code. English is code, Spanish is code, Mandarin it's code. All of these languages are code because I dare you to go to a country where they speak a language that you don't speak. They can have a whole conversation about what they're going to do to you, and there's nothing that you will be able to understand about what they're saying, and it would make it easier for them to do that thing. So language is code. The older you get, the more you learn that code. You learn the language of the world. You learn, okay, we stop at the stop sign, and we do the, like, you learn the material world. That is you being programmed. You are in your machine energy with that. You're still feminine. You still get hungry. You still, wah, I want my mommy. You're that's still there. It never leaves you, but you are more in machine mode. You're more a mechanism now. You're a mechanism of society. That's you and your masculine energy. But guess what? The older you get, if you are blessed enough to survive, you regress right back, or I'm saying regress, but you go right back to feminine. It's more, I want my mommy, I'm hungry. You go right back to the diaper, right back to feminine. And so with that knowledge, many of us look at the feminine and we think that it's weak. We think of it as baby, or an old person, something helpless, something that needs to be protected or provided for because it can't do it itself. But we don't understand that ultimately that is the mastermind behind everything. That is the undercurrent behind, um under all of it, is that feminine. It is always there. It's always, happy at a sunset or a sunrise. It's always going like this. See, I always know when you're back in the room, excuse me, North Oakland, because you be liking my lives, and I appreciate that. I would appreciate if y'all hit that like button or whatever. I don't know what it does, to be honest, but I know that it's good. I know that I'm supposed to be asking y'all to do that. So please hit the like if you're in the live and you're enjoying what I'm saying and you understand what I'm saying, whatever. And if there's any questions, I will stop and answer them. But either way, the undercurrent to everything that we are, everything that we do, is our feminine energy. That's the energy of why we're even here in the first place. What is your purpose? Because your purpose is not to go to McDonald's and flip burgers. Your purpose is not to provide value for shareholders. Your purpose is not to work hard under pressure in was it in quickly changing environments or whatever. That's not your purpose. Oh, pushes the live FYP. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Yeah, please do that. Anyway, yeah, we're all here, and we all have that feminine that is our driver, that's underlying everything. And the masculine aspect of all of us is the machine part. And many of us, um, and when I say us, Shannon Sharp, he knows, and some of us know that that machine aspect is the key to getting us what our feminine wants. Our masculine is the key to giving our feminine what it wants. All of us are driven by our feminine. We're driven by our desire to be loved, to feel needed, to experience nature, and to experience um just certain emotions. to feel peace, to feel brave, to feel whatever. Like we're driven by that. That's our feminine. Our existing in itself is feminine. That something's there's so many things in this world that exist and then they're gone. I think about my dog. Like I had a dog and he lived to be like 9.5 years old. He's a big dog. And they don't live as long as the smaller dogs do. And he was here and I remember when he came into the world and now he's gone. So that's it. We have a finite existence on this earth and we don't know why we're here many times. In some cases, some people do get a chance to learn why they're here. But while we're here, that's your feminine is just existing and experiencing the world. Your masculine is doing the work. It's doing the work. It's the machine. It's getting the feminine what it needs to survive or to experience the world however it wants to experience. And so when you fine tune that aspect of yourself, which is the machine part of yourself, when you are working it and fine tuning it and getting it to how you need it to be, all of those things, then ultimately those two things are working together. So when I was having a conversation about Shannon Sharp and what he was on and what he was into, this is not to say that masculine energy in any way is bad. Being in your machine energy is bad. It's not. Being in your machine energy is not bad whatsoever at all. However, when you are so absorbed in being a machine and winning because you like the feeling that winning gives you, it's going to give you a lot of blind spots, especially if you have an advantage and you think you're covered in every area that there is an advantage. Race is a social construct. Race doesn't really, like we've made it up. There are people walking around now, and I think the movie Sinners has brought this up quite a bit to people's attention, even more so than it already is. But there's people walking around now who, for all intents and purposes, are white, but we find out that there's a black person in their ancestry, and now they're black. Now they're passing. Race is a social construct. So with all of these social constructs that we've created, because gender is also a social construct. Gender is a social construct. But if you know all of the rules, and Shannon Sharp said this, he said this to Amanda Seales on his interview. When you know the rules, you know how to play. And so he was playing a game where he had all of these advantages, or so he thought. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's a part of me that wonders if I'm saying wonders if he knows the risk. I think he knew the risks. I think he knew the risks. And I think that is part of the reason why he's trying to play the card that he's trying to play, which is they're trying to take a black man down card. But yeah, there are going to be certain uh like you're not going to win every game every time. And I think it's the thrill of possibly losing that perhaps Shannon was going for. Because if he was going after a woman his age who had her own money in it, like a good amount of money, and who belonged to the same race as him, what would this look like? What would this look like? What would the optics of this look like? There would definitely be more blame that would be shifted to the woman that is more his age. If it was somebody like me, there would definitely be more blame directed at me. And I know, me being who I am, I would internalize it. I wouldn't be like, but I'm just a baby. That's how I'd feel on the inside, and that's part of the reason why I'm not going to be with somebody that's going to choke me, but like in the inside, I would be feeling like, but he took advantage of me. But I would know that at the age that I am now, I can't, I, I have to kind of say, I made a mistake. I should not have been entertaining somebody that was violent in this way or that way. But women my age get taken advantage of all the time. Women my age get abused all the time. But I'm not going to say that it's easier to. No, no, I am going to say that it's easier to take advantage of a person who's younger. It's easier because I'm old enough to be scared. I'm old enough to see somebody with muscles, a man with muscles, and think to myself, that man could hurt me. You know, if I'm meeting you now, I didn't meet you in middle school, you know, I'm meeting you now. I'm having to learn about you, and I'm seeing certain qualities about you. Yeah, yeah, you could hurt me. You could use those muscles in a way that's gonna be very scary. As a woman, so at my age, at my particular age, I'm not going to be looking at somebody like Shannon Sharp and not thinking of all of the power dynamics, you know at least thinking about them. And this is not to say again that a young person would not do that. But like I said, when you think you know everything and when you realize that you don't know everything, that's wisdom. That's two. One thing is having the looking good on paper. Because when I was 19, I knew everything. I knew how to recite scripture. I knew there was a scripture for everything. There's a script for everything. But now that I'm older, I have been in some fights, you know, figuratively. I have been in some fights. Physically, I've been in some fights. I've been in some fights. I know what it's like to have a plan, and I know what it's like for somebody to take that plan out of your hands, and you know what I'm saying? And you got to go by memory. And everything that they said that they would do in the books, they didn't do. I know what that's like. And young people don't have that experience yet. Some do. And unfortunately, in some cases, when a young person has had so many horrific experiences at a young age, it gives them bad coping mechanisms. So they're fighting and they don't even, there's nothing to fight. So there's a lot of young people who are lost and who are struggling and who are trying to figure things out. And that it's easy to take advantage of it's easier to take advantage of a younger person. I mean, even especially the arrogance that comes with youth is it leaves them some huge gaping blind spots. So even when they are being strategic, there are blind spots. And there's this idea that, oh, I'm going to live forever. Things are going to happen like this for me forever. It's always going to be like this. It's always going to be amazing. It's always going to be wonderful. Oh, I got it. Everything always works out. And this is not to say that everything doesn't always, I mean, I say that all the time. I still say that. Oh, everything's always going to work out. However, when you are a young person and you are in a relationship with an older person, that older person is going to have an advantage. They're always going to have an advantage. That's just always what it's going to be. And so if you're an older person and you say, well, that's not always true, then you're just admitting that for you, that's not true. For you, that might not be true. You might be an older person who's not very intelligent. You might be an older person who, needs a little bit of help. So there's a lot of older people who are admitting to the fact that they look at younger people and they see them as someone that they're jealous of, or they see them as someone that they think is sharper than them and has it together better than them. And that's a personal issue, but that does not give you the right to go to the daycare and rob cradles. It doesn't. It just, what it just means is get your ish together. That's all that means. That's it. I don't look at a younger person and say, wow, they're so much smarter than me. I might think, oh, they're smarter than I was at that age. At that age. But that's as far as I'll go. All my nieces and nephews are in their 20s. I think my oldest niece is 30. Guess what their names are? Pumpkin. Hey, Pumpkin. You okay, Pumpkin? They said, Lizzie, I'm going to the store. You want something? No, Pumpkin, thank you. because they're babies. I remember I changed their diapers. These are babies to me. Anytime somebody younger than me, and this is not me infantilizing anybody or making anybody feel bad, but I do have an affinity towards young people because I know that people take advantage of young people. They treat them badly. They steal candy from young people. People steal from young people. And you know how I know that? Because when I was young, people stealing from me. People I was supposed to respect. People I was supposed to look up to. They were stealing from me. Bill Belichick and his girlfriend are 49 years apart. I don't know who Bill Belichick is. All right, I'm gonna look him up real quick. Bill Belichick, former general manager of the New England Patriots. Oh, she's beautiful too. All right. I mean, okay, so I feel like enough time has passed by. I'm gonna go back to talking about masculine energy again. I'm gonna talk about sports again. Because that's what this whole live is about how sports kind of plays into that whole idea of masculine energy. And before anybody says this, sports, I didn't say male sports or female sports. I'm talking about sports in general that deals with men or women. Women who are athletes tend to be in their masculine energy just as much as men who are athletes, but we have an expectation when it comes to men, and that expectation is one where we expect men to be a certain way, to be in their machine energy more so than than uh than we expect women to be in their masculine energy and machine energy. We expect women to be soft and to be, go with the flow, and women to be goddesses, because the feminine energy represents goddess energy. It represents God energy, actually. It represents the divine. It's the human side of all of us, and we all contain it. If you are alive, if you're a human, if you're a person, if you're anything, if you exist, feminine energy. Masculine is the bells and whistles. It's the machine aspect. And so women are not expected nearly as much to be machines as men are. Men are expected to be machines. And so when sports are involved, it tends to put everybody in their binary thinking. Binary zeros and ones. People tend to think it's us or them. It's the New England Patriots, or it's the I'm trying to think of another sports team. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. It's one or the other. It's never, well, what about the such and such? Nope, we're playing a game. These two are up against each other. Wait, you think Shannon is a switch hitter? How does affect these dynamic? I know that a switch hitter is somebody who hits the ball on this side and on this side, but how does that apply here? Because when it comes to Shannon Sharp, I think that Shannon Sharp is fully in his masculine energy. I mean, feminine is always the undercurrent that's running. That's your subconscious, is constantly running below the surface. It's the chief motivator behind your actions. But that masculine is what we all see. That's the mechanical aspect. And I think that he is so far in. Oh, sexually switch hitting. Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if he is, but one thing that I will say about Shannon Sharp. Good morning. Good morning. I love it when you guys say that. Good morning to me. But one thing that I will say about Shannon Sharp is that he enjoys the power dynamic between man and woman, and I believe that to be true of um, most people who are involved in heterosexual relationships, because I think that sexuality is a spectrum. Personally, that's my opinion, is that sexuality is a spectrum. I think that as much as somebody can be straight, they can be gay, depending on who they're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that people are socialized towards heterosexuality. Like, what is it? There's heteronormative. There's a word for it. It's compulsive heteronormativity. So I believe that everybody's socialized that, oh, I'm straight. Yeah, I'm straight. And then so you're straight until proven otherwise. That's it. Compulsory heteronormativity. Thank you, watermelons. Comp het. Yeah, so that I believe that. That's what I think. I'm not the best part. Well, no, I'm not gonna put that on myself, but yeah, that's it. Comp het. I think most people are comp het. And so even if he believes himself to be straight, I could see him not being straight. But then again, I don't know that anybody is truly straight. What is straight? Especially in a society where, let's say that we live in a society where straightness and gayness doesn't even exist. Let's say that we live in that. Then what are we? Let's say that we live in a society where gender is not a thing. What are you? You know. So I don't believe, I don't know what Shannon is. I don't know in the deepest heart of hearts what he is. Um, but I will say that he believes, he enjoys that power dynamic that is existent in our society, where women are seen as lesser than, smaller than, softer than, and he is seen as big, black, strong, muscular machine. 1000%. I'm a true sapiosexual. I dated men mostly because I was born into poverty and was trying to get more social and financial capital, but I would probably date women if that wasn't all an issue. Um, yeah, yeah. I don't know that yeah, yeah, I agree. And that's part of the reason why when people ask me what my sexuality is, I say I don't know. I don't know. It depends. I don't know. You know. Mm. I've only up until this point dated men. But I'm sure if, if the right woman came along, sure. Okay. Like I am attracted to men when I see, but then again, it's like there's a part of me that's like, I don't know if the the attract attraction that I have towards men is just socialized. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to women, perhaps the way that I see women has been socialized, because if I see a really attractive woman, I don't think, ooh, I would love to be in a relationship with her. I think, ooh, she's very pretty. She's a very pretty woman. That's a very attractive woman, or I think to myself, oh, I want to look like her. Oh, I'd love to look like this person. So I don't know. I may have been socialized in that way, but either way, I'm not against, if the right woman comes along, it is what it is. But yeah, I think that most people, especially men, are they are socialized against even exploring their sexuality. So I think that somebody has said this. They said that when it comes to men, they think that men are sexuality pending, and I believe that. I don't think that men have explored what they are into enough to be able to confidently say that they are straight or not. Exactly. That's why there are so many down low men. I think that there's a ton of down low men because, like you mentioned, watermelons. There's like a ton of social capital to be gained by saying, oh, I'm straight. I have the whole wife and kids. I have not ever been in a relationship with uh a woman, not in a romantic relationship or anything like that, or a sexual relationship. But one thing that I will say is that I've been with enough bisexual men to start to think a lot. I'm saying most men, I think, um, are more uh, queer than they would like to imagine. I think most men are more queer than they'd like to imagine. All right. Does it vary by race? Does what vary by race? Does what vary by race? So anyway, to go, this is 1000%. If we knew what went down behind closed doors, we would not. Oh, we would riot. Yeah, yeah. I think, but yeah, my now when it comes to men, like I try to say up front, when it comes to men, like I'm okay if you are bisexual or whatever. That's totally fine. They mostly buy, I think. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, but, like, when it comes to men, like that person said, I totally agree. I think that men are sexuality pending. So, and especially, I'm straight as an arrow. Okay. Mhm. Sure you are. You know? Like, I've been, like I said, there was one person that I dated that was openly bisexual. A few, I thought to myself, you I wouldn't be surprised if you were, if you're down low. You know what I mean? Because you're spending so much time with your friends. You would not lift a finger for me, but you will lift, an entire house for this man, for another man. You can see it in the ways that men kind of smile in the faces of other men. It's like that's a little, you know what I mean? And again, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's the lying part that's the problem. Because if somebody's willing to lie to you, that means that they don't respect you enough to let you make a full decision, an informed decision. They don't respect you enough to give you control over your situation with them. They're going to have you in a situation with them where you are not being given all of the information. And so you are not being given the option to be able to make choices that are going to affect your life. And so I don't respect, it's not, I don't respect, when it comes to men, that scares me. That scares me. It says they've done brain scans on men and their brains register other men as people, and they register women as not. It says my husband's eyes light up when he talks about Joe Budden. Oh boy. And they think we can't see that. That's the thing. They think we can't see it. They think that we're not aware, of that. And it's obvious, and what's wild is that yeah, yeah, they they think that we can't see it. And it's crazy. Um, but yeah, I forget what I was gonna say. That's why it stopped. But how's that data for times race? I don't know the question. But either way, yeah, I do think that sexuality is pending for a lot of men, and there's so much shame around sexuality and exploring one's sexuality that a lot of men are just going around being not fully themselves and trying to hide aspects of themselves that are truly what they're about, you know? And then on top of that, there's this denigration of feminine beings. And men don't understand, a lot of men don't understand that when they're denigrating the feminine, they are denigrating themselves. They're denigrating aspects of themselves. So if you're denigrating a feminine being, you are showing that you don't respect yourself as a baby. You don't respect yourself as a fully formed human being who has desires, who has fears, who has emotions. You don't respect yourself as someone who's going to grow old and who's going to need help and who's going to need community. You don't respect community. You don't respect the elderly. You don't respect wisdom that doesn't come from going out and playing football. You only respect things that represent the mechanical aspect of being alive. You don't respect the user experience. You're only respecting the mechanical experience. Did you win? That's all that matters. It's like, but did you experience the joy of playing? Did you experience the fear of playing? What did you experience? You only care about the zeros and the ones when you're fully in your masculine energy. You are more machine than you are person. So yeah, but yeah, I do believe that a lot of men are missing out on a full human experience because they have um, forced themselves into a box of being a machine, of checking off certain qualities. Like, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. So that means that I'm doing humanity. I'm doing man right. I'm performing man correctly. It's a performance. And they do not allow themselves to take off their armor. The only time they allow themselves to take off that armor is at night, and That's why nighttime, and I talked about this on another live before, nighttime is the most feminine time of day, because that's essentially when the masks come off, you know? And even if it's not coming off while you're woke, it's coming off while you're asleep. Who you really are, what's really driving you, your subconscious. That's why dreams are so powerful, because they let you know what is really happening. You wake up, you're doing your day, you think one thing's happening, you go to sleep, and what's really happening is, plays out. What you really thought of your day plays out. What you really think of the future plays out. The gods and goddesses and all of the entities and spirits and whatever that's been functioning in your life, they come and visit you. The memories that you thought you suppressed, the thing that's been irking you, that and you didn't even know that it was irking you, some distant memory, some distant thought. That's when the violins are playing, and it's the sad music, and you're like, oh my god, I didn't know that that was bothering me. Last night I had a dream about my aunt who passed away, and her husband, who's a widower. you know like, out of the blue. I wasn't thinking about that yesterday, according to, but that's what's playing in the undercurrent of my conscious. So when you are woke and you are out and about and living your life and doing things in the sunshine, doing things in the light of day, talking and whatever you're doing, that's the masculine world. We're all in masculine world. But when that sun goes down, that's who you really are. That is who else you really are. That's a huge aspect of you. What's happening at night. That's why they tell women, oh, don't go outside at night. What are you doing walking around at night? You could get hurt. Are they talking about by women? No, they're talking about by men. As a woman walking around at night, you can get hurt by men. Why? Because men are going to be more themselves. They're going to be more bold. They're going to be more emboldened. All of the things that they were hiding and suppressing, they're going to let it all hang out at night. So that feminine is the real us. The masculine is a representation of that feminine. And a lot of times we denigrate the feminine because we see it as weak, but it's also scary. It's also violent. It's also, powerful. And one might even argue that the feminine is more powerful than the masculine, because um it's it's so infinite. You know what I mean? It embodies everything. It's every aspect of us. It's every part of us. It's the mysterious element to everything. And so many of us walk around, we hope that we know, I'm saying we hope we know everything, but we think we know everything. We think that everything that we think is all there is. But the feminine is the part that you're not even thinking. That's how powerful it is. That you don't even have to think about the feminine for it to be controlling situations, for it to be guiding situations, for it to be influencing situations. It's seductive. You're being seducted by the feminine at all times. I mean, they use this in marketing. This is a marketing technique. If you see the same billboard over and over and over again, you're going to be more likely to purchase a certain thing. So when you're watching Netflix, or you're watching, Amazon Prime, or Paramount Plus, or whatever, and you hit pause, and they have that commercial up, or commercial pops up every 15 minutes or so, they know that the more you see that commercial, the more you're going to be influenced by whatever it is they're showing it to you. You might not even like that product. You might not even need that product. You might even be annoyed by the commercials. But ultimately, they know that if they keep seducing you, they keep putting it in your subconscious, that they're going to talk to the feminine. They don't want to talk to your masculine. They want to get past the masculine and talk to your feminine. Your feminine is your subconscious. And to deny that you have a subconscious is to be even more ruled by your subconscious, because it can do whatever it wants and it knows that you're not even going to know because you don't even acknowledge it. And that is the world that we're living in with men, because men do not acknowledge their feminine. They're being ruled by their feminine and they do not acknowledge it whatsoever. The only time men acknowledge their feminine is when they are blaming women for something. So they outsource the blame of the feminine to other people's feminine. Oh, it's women. Women are the embodiment of femininity to them. But in reality, everybody's feminine is running the show under, under the illusion of it being a masculine world. So yeah, there's a lot there and it sounds complicated, and maybe it is complicated, but ultimately all of us are being ruled by our subconscious, and those subconsciouses are in agreement when it comes to certain things. And so when with a lot of men, their subconscious is in agreement with other men who their subconscious is in agreement with a lot of other men who have the same kind of devious desires and same kind of sinister desires, because those subconsciouses have been so suppressed. I'm sorry, I'm reading a comment. It says, even in elementary school, I remember men being extremely emotional and feminine more so than women. Yeah, yeah. That's all of us have it. We're all feminine beings. That feminine is the subconscious, that it's the human part of us that is moving through the world, whether we like it or not. It's the part of us that we walking down the street and you trip and you get embarrassed a little bit and you look around and see if anybody noticed. you know that is the feminine. It's the part that many of us are ashamed of, because we're taught to be ashamed of. Agreed, a good guy with a deviant friend group is not a good guy. Emotions don't equal femininity. um Emotions don't equal femininity. I don't even know what that means. I don't like, I get what you're trying to say, but like I don't know what you're hearing me say for you to say that. Hi Lizzy, I can't stay but sending some likes and love. You look so pretty. Oh my goodness, thank you. Thank you. That happened to me 2 days ago. I almost face planted. Yeah. I mean, it's the part of us that, it's a part of us that's the underlying, it's our desires. It is the executive of the operation. The feminine is the executive. It's the executive. It is the one that's, you know, is sending the masculine on a mission. And the masculine is going on a mission. There's no, it's doing as told. And so there's a lot of men that are going around who are in their masculine energy, not acknowledging whatsoever the feminine. To the comment prior about someone growing up and viewing this. Yeah. So here's the thing about emotions too. And I think when we talk about emotions, a lot of times people see them as bad, and that's because we live in a masculine world. And so the masculine um, logic is that emotions are bad. This is the logic of a machine. This is the logic of a computer. This is the logic of a tool. Is that logic, emotions bad. Emotions are what create logic. You cannot have logic without emotion being the underlying source of the logic. If I am hungry, it makes me sad. The logical thing to do is to get food, so I'm not sad. Or in my case, angry. Sometimes I'll be getting angry. When I'm hungry, I'm angry. You know, and when I'm hungry and sad or angry, I'm sad or angry because my body feels bad, and I don't like feeling bad. It makes me sad. Mm. That's exactly how I act when I'm hungry. So I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to go into my masculine energy and I'm going to go to the kitchen. I'm going to fix myself some eggs or whatever, and we're going to fix it. That's the logic. The logic stems from the emotion. Feminine energy, you always know which one is feminine by which one is the source. Feminine energy is source energy. Emotions aren't bad. Emotions get you what you want. In order for Shannon Sharp, I'm going back to Sharp, in order for Shannon Sharp to have approached that young woman, he had to do it on some emotional shit. He didn't approach her on some, I'm a machine. I'm looking to win against an opponent. Will you be my opponent? I'm sure that's not how he approached her. He had to approach her as if he was a human being. And I'm saying as if because that man was in machine mode when he found her, at the gym. He was working out. And I know because I be working out, I'm in machine mode. I'm in machine mode when I'm working out. I'll be looking at myself in the mirror, like, look at you, fine-tuned machine. You know what I mean? I love working out because I love sharpening my instrument, you know? And so ultimately, this man was in machine mode when he found that girl. But guess what? He had to go into human mode in order to lure her in. The feminine is seductive. It seduces. It uses emotions. It uses what it knows of the, you know what I'm saying? So men, and in many cases, especially black men, I think black men are especially adept at this, of knowing how to go in and out of that feminine and masculine, but will conveniently deny the masculine big time. Conveniently deny it. What? No, I don't. You know, I'm I'm taken advantage of just as much as you are, but then they want to be the manliest of men when they're around women. So it's like you can't choose to be a woman when you are forced to have to deal with the patriarchy, and then decide that you are a man when you're amongst women. You can't pick and choose between the two. But either way, many of us don't understand that the subconscious, the part of us that's like the underlying aspect of all of us, is feminine. It's our driver. It's that baby that's inside that's crying and wants a bottle, or is crying because it wants a nap. I had read somewhere that um, one of the biggest issues with adults who go to work on a regular basis, or like who work 9 to 5s, is that they need naps. We need naps. Not even just people who work, just adults in general. We had nap times as children, and it helped us to regulate our nervous systems. It helped us to regulate everything and be able to make clearer decisions and be sharper and be more physically able to get things done. And we stopped taking naps. So people are still having temper tantrums, but they're having adult temper tantrums. And we're not recognizing them as adult temper tantrums because I'm an adult. I don't have temper tantrums. We've been socialized and brainwashed out of seeing certain behaviors as temper tantrums because it's more sophisticated. So if I'm frustrated in the middle of traffic, or I'm frustrated in the middle of whatever situation, you're not going to see it as a temper tantrum. You're just going to see it as, oh, this person's being an asshole. Oh, look at her. She's being a terrible driver. She's being a whatever. I'm literally an adult having a temper tantrum. That's what a temper tantrum is. But it's just like when you're an adult, you have big people words. So you're going to use your words, or but yeah, people are having temper tantrums every single day. Adults. And it's because we need naps. You ever heard that the expression? I mean, I've talked about it quite a bit already, but being hangry, you're angry because you're hungry. Babies get hangry all the time. Okay, I'm coming. Oh, you hungry? Here you go. That's us too. Just because you're an adult and you have sophisticated words, and you're wearing a suit, or you're wearing, you know what I mean? And you know how to tie your shoes, and you know how to drive, does not mean you're not having a temper tantrum. Doesn't mean that you don't need a nap time. Doesn't mean that you don't need snack time. Doesn't mean you don't need recess. You run around, you know. I used to hold meditation sessions all the time, and I think I want to get back to doing that. But people fall asleep all the time during those. They wake up so refreshed. Oh wow, this is so great. You're really good at this. No, I just know you need it. We all need nap times. Some people say I feel like I'm meditating wrong because every time I lay down, I just go to sleep. Yeah, because you need a nap. You needed a nap. Even kids, when there is nap time, sometimes they don't nap. They just, I was one of those kids. Sometimes I didn't nap during nap time. I just laid somewhere and just stared into space. So nap time is still important. But we denigrate the aspect of ourselves that is human. And that aspect of ourselves that is human is our feminine. And unfortunately, there are so many men who are completely removed from the feminine aspect of themselves. And because of that, their feminine is driving everything. And it is still baby. It's still very much baby. It's not evolved. It's not, you know. And again, all of our feminine is baby as well. But when you are tapped into it a little bit more, it's going to mature along with you, because you're not suppressing it. You're allowing it to grow into wisdom. You know, it's taking the experiences and it is evolving into a higher vibrational point. But if you don't acknowledge that feminine, it's never going to grow. It's never going to evolve. It's never going to become bigger and better and greater and guide you in a way that's healthy. So tapping into the feminine is extremely important for men, because the reason why the world is the way that it is because we're being run by the masculines who are not acknowledging whatsoever the feminine that is the underlying purpose for everything, and their feminine hasn't evolved. It's a very low vibrational feminine. It's a dark feminine. It's a shit its pants feminine. It's the I'm mad, I'm gonna kill everybody feminine. you know, that's the feminine that's running things. I want to start a war because I'm hungry. That's what's running the world. Is an unevolved feminine. It's the Old Testament feminine. God in the Old Testament feminine. It's a lustful feminine. It's a feminine that worships men. It's a pick me feminine. When the women in this live were talking about how their men would look into the eyes of other men, and this, they can tell that man loves another man. That's the pick me feminine that's running the world right now. So if men were to acknowledge, it's not even like, one of the things I hear often, I don't know if I'm going to go too far into this because I don't want to confuse anybody, but it's like people talk about, oh my goodness, if women ran the world, it would be much better. If people who understood their subconscious drivers, if people who were self-aware were in charge, it would be a better place. It doesn't matter the gender, because if you're a woman and you're not recognizing your feminine either, we would have the same issues. And so there's a lot of women who are like, just let me be in charge. And they're literally the same as a man, or the systems that have been put in place are exploitative inherently. So you switch it out with a woman, it's going to be the same problem. I see your comment. It says, my unpopular opinion is that I think men's population out of control. I don't think we were meant to have this many men. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I mean, it could be a numbers issue, but ultimately, I think it's a denigration of the feminine issue. That's what I personally think. I mean, maybe it is a numbers issue too. Maybe you can't have this many men with the world without the world becoming one that denigrates women. But the fact that we even know how many men or women exist is, in my opinion, is kind of an issue, because why do I know what genitals you have? You know what I mean? Why do I know what genitals you have? We all got to dress a certain way so that you know. That's why I love non-binary people so much, especially when they're very androgynous and you don't know what's going on. Because mind your business. You don't need to know what my gender is. You know, mind your business. Um, but yeah, I do think that the issue when it comes to a lot of men is that not understanding what their underlying drivers are, because nobody told Shannon Sharp to go find a 19-year-old at the gym. Nobody. I think society, sometimes I think society should be separated by people's age. you know like, why are you at your big ass age, you are a few years away from being what is a senior citizen? Why are you talking to a teenager? you know and yeah, a lot of men actually enjoy being oppressive and abusive. Yeah, I mean, I talked about this quite a bit earlier in the live today, where I was talking about what masculine energy is and how men have been socialized. And a lot of it is about power dynamics. Not only does it need to be in group, out group, but it's also has to be a winner loser situation. It has to be a hierarchy where I win, I'm at the top, there can only be one, you know? And so, him seeking out this young woman, he saw a situation where he was automatically going to win. He said, I'm going to win. I'm going to win this interaction. You ever have a conversation with somebody and it doesn't feel like a conversation? It feels like somebody's trying to win. That's that masculine energy that is driven by a very low vibrational feminine. Is when you want to win things that's not even about winning or losing. If you're in a relationship with somebody, you don't want to win the relationship. You should both, if anybody wins, it should be both people. That's the point of the relationship. There shouldn't be a loser and winner in a relationship. But there are so many people who enter into situations thinking that I want to win. I don't care if it's going outside and, taking a walk. I want to win the walk. I want to win the rose smelling competition. You know. Are we going out to eat pizza? Let's make it a competition. I want to win. And then when people enter situations wanting to win constantly, then they're going to look for people who they know immediately is going to lose. You know. So if I want an arm wrestling competition, I'm not going to go after a person my size. I'm going to find a baby. I'm going to find a 6-year old. Let's go. Come on. I know I can win. You know? It says because their brains are hierarchical, whereas women's are more pro social. You actually have to go out of your way to be around teenagers if you're not in certain demographics. A lot of people have not received the love and nurturing they needed in early childhood. I think that suggests they are meant to fight amongst each other for access to women, hence overpopulation. Okay, so let's go back to your conversation, to what you said, Watermelons, about their brains being hierarchical, where women's are more pro-social. That is socialized. That's socialized. Men, there may be some aspect inherently of men going towards hierarchies, but that is socialized. And that's what I mean when I talk about masculine energy, because there are women that are like that too, who are very hierarchical. White women tend to be very hierarchical. That is a social construct. The fact that white people invented race and then put themselves at the top, it's like literally everything that I'm talking about. That mindset, that is an energy. And that energy, there's the binary code, there's the zeros and the ones. And then it says, I believe the brain scans suggest the left brain versus right brain and less connections between the two. Yeah. Yeah. There's the zeros and the ones. There's the transactional thinking. There's the linear thinking, meaning lines, because there's no lines in nature. So all of these things point to a more mechanical, a more machine-like way of being. And so there are people who lean more towards this machine and mechanical way of being. And men have co-opted being machines and being mechanical and being hierarchical in thought. They have been socialized into co-opting that as their entire identity. So a lot of men will believe themselves to be in competitions that don't exist. They will turn things into competitions that don't need to be competitions. Being alive in society shouldn't be a competition. I shouldn't compete with another person for the right to be able to make money. It shouldn't be a competition over who can get the most customers, so that now only one store has all the customers and all of the other stores are put out of business completely. It should be, this business exists, and this business exists. But we are now, everything there needs, we're trying to go and find out who the one is. Who's the one? There can only be one. Who wants to be on top? Like the America's Next Top Model. Is always can only be one at the top of the hierarchy. We definitely need more choices. We need more businesses. Um, Yeah, it could be innate, but the only way that we would know is if people were to actually start, if we change society. And I don't know that that's going to happen. Honestly, the only thing that I see happening, and you know, my brain can't see it any other way. Maybe it's kind of scary to even say out loud, but like I think the feminine has to destroy everything and we're going to start all over again. I think it's happened. I think it's happened before. I don't think this is the first time that things have had to completely be destroyed in order to get it back to a point where we're building from scratch again. Because the way that things are going right now, once we get to that one person or one thing on top, the only way that we will get there is complete destruction. And once you're at the top, that means that no one's at the top. It's leveled. Everything's leveled. So that's kind of honestly what I think it is. If it's not going to be women doing it, it's going to be nature, because nature is feminine. Nature is the feminine of all feminine. It's chaos. It is the bull in the china shop. And right now, the china shop is charging people way too much. And the bull is like, I brought all my coupons. you know, that's the bull right now. That's the feminine. The bull is like, I had, you told me that it was 25% off today, but now you're saying that the coupon is expired. How patient do we think the feminine is going to be? By its very nature, it is chaos. So, all of that order and control that so many of us, especially men, take for granted as always being in charge, always being on top, that we're going to see who can do chaos better. And I promise you, nobody does chaos better than the feminine. Nobody. So we're all about to find out the answer to your question about whether it's nature or nurture in terms of men being more hierarchical. We are all about to find out. I don't know if I'm going to be alive to see it. I don't know if it's going to happen in our lifetimes, but I do think that we're headed that way, because things cannot go on like this. And I've talked about this before in terms of the masculine is the square. You know, it's the structure, it's the lines, the straight lines, and it closes things in that little box. All of the ways that people are trying to escape, all of the feelings that people have of being restricted, because it's one thing to feel safe and enclosed, to be in your home or some kind of enclosed space, your car, whatever. But it's another thing to feel squeezed, and we have been squeezed. We're getting squeezed. And what happens when a gas is squeezed? Because that's the feminine. The feminine is a gas, is squishy, is liquid. But what happens when you compress something that has all of these different chemicals, emotions, toxins, things that when they're free and fine, like when they're allowed to flow the way that they're supposed to flow, they're fine. But when you squeeze them, when you put that much pressure on them, what happens? Explosion. So that's where we're at. The masculine is squeezing things, and it's, well, we just need to get more control. We just need a little bit more control. We just need a little bit more control. Okay. You're going to get so much control that kaboom, kaboom, kablooey. So that's where we're at. And we can have a bunch of different theories, but one thing that we do know when it comes to science is that when you can squeeze or compress a gas, we all know what happens. Somebody figured that out years and years ago with the atomic bomb. So that's where we are as a society. It's kind of a scary place to be. However, the squeeze right now is it feels terrible. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I don't like this so much. And so on every level, we can kind of see this pattern of behavior happening because there's a certain level of arrogance that comes with that masculine energy of attempting to get control. There's an arrogance that comes with that. You're not doing the math, you know, with the masculine is not doing the math. It's doing the math, but it's um overestimating its power. And what once you are privileged enough to kind of have any kind of specific thought process. Well, I'm sorry, I'm seeing a name that I recognize. Hi, is that, I think, I don't know. Either way, when you see someone that is very I guess privileged in a certain way, or they see themselves as I knew it was you. Hey Pablo. But either way, when somebody has a specific level of privilege, when somebody has a certain level of like things working out for them enough, they're going to have blind spots. So that's what that pretty much comes down to. So if I think that I have all the answers, then there's going to be an answer that I don't have, and it's going to be a big one. And so that's what I'm saying when I talk about like the masculine and feminine. It's like masculine sees itself as having this great big advantage. It's not seeing that the fact that there is one thing that it might not be catching, and that big thing is going to be the end of it. And this is not me saying that all men are going to die, all bad things are going to happen to men or anything like that. But I'm just saying, as a society, as a people, those of us who count on having a sense of control are going to lose that sense of control. And then who are we then? Who are we then? So one of the best advice I can give, and I'm about to get off now because I've been on here long enough. I'm hungry and I'm going to go to the gym. But the best advice that I can give is find out who you are. Find out who your feminine is. Find out what is running things under the surface. What's your drivers? What's keeping you going? What's making you you? What are you here for? What is your purpose? And you don't have to be like strongly, um, like I gotta find my purpose in 5 minutes. Like, relax. And the way that you can get to those answers is through meditation, listening to your body, drawing that mind body connection. So meditation, taking naps, um eating when you're hungry, not too much, doing things that show that you're in tune with your body, you're in tune with your experience here. Stop trying to compete with everything and everyone. Stop being at war with the world. Try to get out of that energy and more in a syncopated energy. Yeah, being in nature. Go outside. Look at a tree. You know what I'm saying? Look at it. Not look at it through a screen. Don't put on let me put on YouTube and put a nice, I want to look at the waterfall. Go to it. Look at grass. Look directly at the grass so that you can draw a direct line physically from your eye to the grass. Be out in nature. If you have an animal, be with your animal. Go outside. That's one thing I love about dogs. I feel like I was so much in more of a zen state when I had a dog because I was forced. That dog said, "I look, I don't know what you have going on in your human world, but like I need to be outside. I need to be in nature." Animals are so in tune with this planet. And one of the things that I loved about having a dog and having taken walks is that my dog would force me to be standing on at different parts of the city that I was just like, what the hell? You know, I'm like, and I would stand outside while he's sniffing something for like a good 15 minutes. And I'm like, I never noticed this wall. I never noticed this tree. So then after a while, I became in tune with my environment. There were things that I was noticing about my street that I didn't know. This is a street that I live on. I should know these things, you know? So animals have a way of pulling you into the present moment, making you be in your feminine energy. And that is one of the best things that you can do to survive whatever chaos feminine energy is inevitably going to be bringing to our world, or that is going to be coming up, that's going to be coming less able to be suppressed. So try to get into your feminine energy by taking naps when you need to take a nap, listening to your body, eating healthy if you can, as much as you can, being mindful in whatever activity you're doing. When you're in your robot mode, notice when you're in your robot mode. Notice it. One thing that I love to do is when I'm washing dishes, I love to sometimes I'll listen to music, but sometimes I'll just not. I'll just take the music and not listen to it at all. And I'm gonna be in this moment. I'm just gonna wash my little dishes. I'm gonna rinse and put it away. And my brain will start to flood with all kinds of thoughts, deep thoughts, you know, about the world and about everything. But I bring my attention back to what I'm doing. That's meditation. A lot of times people are like, I don't have time to meditate. Or if you wash dishes, you have time to meditate. If you fold clothes, you have time to meditate. If you're doing anything where your body goes into machine mode, you can draw your attention to whatever it is that you're doing, and that would be meditation. So there are so many ways to kind of remember that aspect of yourself, the human part of yourself, and to connect with that part of yourself. And the more you connect with that part of yourself, the more your feminine is going to be more comfortable having conversations with you. And that feminine is so powerful because it transcends this dimension. So it knows the future. It can make sense of the past. It's communicating from up here, from down below, from it can tell you what's happening with you and your drivers. And if you did this, you'd be more successful with blah blah blah. I know you've been struggling with this. Those conversations come up very casually, but you have to be quiet to get them. And we're constantly in machine mode. Yeah, it's a cheat code. It is a cheat code. And women are we're a little bit more, many of us anyway, are a little bit more inclined to have that cheat code. That's why they call it women's intuition. Men can have that intuition too. They just don't listen to their feminine. They don't listen to their feminine the same way they don't listen to women. So their feminine can't grow. Their feminine is in prison. Men's souls, their feminine is in prison. It's gross. It's rotting. It hasn't bathed. No air. There's no airing out of the feminine. Their feminine be simple as hell. That's why Trump is taking advantage of everybody right now in America, because men don't know how to not, like be operating on such a low vibration. Unfortunate, a lot of men. This is not to say all men, but a lot of men. A lot of the things that we count or we dismiss as girly and feminine are things that allow you to connect with your feminine energy that is all knowing. So, knitting, you know, dancing, that's girl stuff. Okay. You know how much information you can get doing that? You know how many downloads you can get taking naps? You get so much information from the feminine, but we dismiss it, and we're doing things that are competitive that take you out of your feminine energy. We're okay, we got to go to war. When you're at war, you can't, and that's another aspect of feminine energy also, is that I love it, twerking at home. It's great. But another aspect of feminine energy, that a lot of people don't recognize, is that when you respect it and you build it, and not to just say build it, but like when you respect it and when you tap into it, when you are in masculine mode, it'll help you. It's like the picture that I have in my mind is of like the somebody going to war, and you see the goddesses above the fighters. That's feminine energy. So when you are tapped into that feminine energy, you go to, let's say that you're dealing with some issues at work. You're at work, that feminine energy is there too, because you tapped in, and now she can tap in with you whenever you need her. But you got to give it time. And this is not, a lot of times people say, that's what religion is for me. Okay, religion is somebody else's words. I'm talking about you tapping into your self, your intuition, your whatever is inside of you driving you. I'm not talking about reading ancient symbols. I mean, you can read those ancient symbols, and maybe, that they could mean something to you or whatever. It is possible. I'm not going to rule that out completely. But what I'm talking about is taking all the symbols away, and the only symbols that you have are the ones that are in here, you know? So, that's it. That's it for my live this morning. I got to go head to the gym and try and get my stuff together. If you appreciate anything that I was talking about, check out some of my links in my bio. I am a person who is trying to make a living in this world, and it's tough. It's tough being a feminine person trying to make a living. So any help that I can get would be greatly appreciated. Check out my YouTube. Go subscribe to my YouTube. If you want to send me $1, whatever, do that. I have my Cash App and my Venmo and my Zelle and all that in my bio, all of that. So, but I appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming. I'll be here every morning starting at 8 a.m. Eastern time. So if you want to catch me tomorrow, I'll be here. And that's it. Bye. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me see this last comment. Girl who is putting on a twerk shop in my city. I'm excited to go shake it. Oh, what city? I want to go to a twerk shop. I bet it's not in Jersey. That's where I live. All right. Let me get out of here. But oh, Canada. Of course. Of course. All right. Anyway, let me get out of here. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Enjoy your day. Get outside. Go outside and look at a tree. Whew. All right. End stream. Bye. Thank you for coming.